Welcome to the land of illusion. Welcome to your final resting place.
Welcome to Modern Art Blitz. Today's Valentine's Day and Matt Gleason couldn't be here, so I'm here with two of Hollywood and Los Angeles art world's biggest heartthrobs, the lovely Stacy Lande. Hello. And the handsome Dylan Melody.
Hi.
Dylan, is that your real name?
It sure is.
It is?
Yeah. My whole family is Irish, and originally, I think it's 5 generations back, was McCullity. And when they moved here, they had to change to an American name, and it was Melody. Ironically, though, my grandfather, that was his name, and it came from a bunch of artists. So they were always drawing or writing or building things. And my grandmother, her maiden name was Drew, and they were all singers. So it's interesting, like contradicting last names, Drew and Melody.
And so tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now.
I'm working with John Roker, and we're releasing an album on Frontier Records, April 16th, which is Record Store Day.
And I'm trying to find the artwork. Nolan, where's our artwork? Thank you. And while we're doing that, let's switch over to
there's the artwork.
What could you tell us about this artwork, Dylan?
Okay, yeah, so John and I worked on this. It's actually a bunch of Polaroids. He zoomed in different sizes and glued them all together to make this. It was actually for Steel Music by Art.
Right.
Which was this art thing we did, and it was at that festival. I can't remember the name.
The desert. It was in the
desert.
desert.
Yeah, it was in the desert. All this punk rock band. Punk Isn't Dead, or It's Not Dead Fest.
It's Not Dead Fest.
Yeah.
And then you're doing other artwork. You're silk screening album covers. Nolan, do we have a copy of the silk screen album cover? There we go. Tell us about, thank you, Nolan. Tell us how you're doing this, because this is something, you're doing something really special with the album covers. That's a very recycled form of artwork.
Yeah, we have blank ones, but one thing we're doing for limited edition is we are getting old, like select albums and screening over them with our design,
right.
Which we shot a couple years ago and has become like the label for our logo for our band.
And you're also hand designing. You've hand designed album cover, like album lyrics. And
yeah. So all the lyrics for the entire album are inside it's a paper about this big, and we have them all handwritten and with pictures drawn on them and everything. And then we're going to screen a large version of the cover on the back. So for like a poster, we're going to fold it up and put it inside the vinyl and take it out. And then, you have the lyrics on one side, and you can put a poster on your wall too.
And what is this still right here? What is this from?
Oh, this is from a music video we shot. It's called Broken Cocktail Dress, and it's basically a step into, it's like the male stepping into the female brain and just going like, I understand exactly. We were kind of inspired by Alexander McQueen.
Right.
And his, what's it called? The Deconstruction video. He basically, he took a man, and I think it's called The Bride's Groom, and he took him inside his groom's suit and broke it down and turned it into a wedding dress, all like within like one take, and just completely deconstructed this person and broke him down. And so we were trying to kind of, we were inspired by that and decided to write a song about what it feels like. You know, I see that as soon as I leave you alone, you're just going to destroy yourself. And so the video kind of captures that essence.
And destruction plays a part in the artwork of our other guest today, the beautiful Stacy Lande.
Oh, thank you, Lisa.
And Stacy, your art really deconstructs, there we go, up there behind, whoops, where'd it go? There we go. Deconstructs the images of people that that we know from the Hollywood scene. You've painted rock stars, you've painted strippers, you've painted, oh my God, you painted me.
A lot of performance artists, yourself.
And yes, I'm neither a performance artist nor a rock star, but yes, you did paint me.
You get pretty close.
And,
you straddle the line there.
So, and how do you deconstruct? It's a very kind of grotesque, almost hellish imagery.
Well, thanks so much, and I think having Dylan here and having me here was no accident. I think that there's a great overlap with the sort of subject matter that our work pertains to. I was very inspired in the late 70s, coming up in early Hollywood with the punk scene and the cabaret scene, and then later in the 90s with the performance art scene. And I thought that two-dimensional art on a flat surface was very inadequate to capture the emotional gut thing I was getting from the music at that time. So all the work you guys are doing all ties in with music. It's, to me, I felt it had to be something bigger than just something isolated on a two-dimensional surface. So what my work felt like at the time in the 90s was sort of a scrapbook of capturing performers that were in my world at that time, and wanting work that maybe got an emotional reaction from the viewer the same way I got an emotional reaction, you know, watching a punk show or beautiful cinema or something like that. Like it was a small way to sort of convey something much more powerful. In Germany, my favorite thing in art school was the idea of the Germans, the Gesamtkunstwerk, which meant the total artwork, and they were doing it in the 1800s in the Romantic period, where they were projecting images on a wall. They had wall hangings, they had theater, they had all this stuff going on at the same time. And the 90s were, a very rich period of performance and visuals, and so that was where I came from.
Nolan, can we have some more of there we go.
And that's a performer, that's Rita from
La Lucha Vavoom.
Yeah.
And she did that amazing
Burlesque Velvet Hammer.
Right. But this is your other work, which is deconstructing women in a different, or perhaps reconstructing women. You run a company with a business partner, your business partner Carol, called Iconic Pinups, which takes women and turns them into pinups.
And turns them into their larger-than-life selves, which my work as my painting had been described as having done back in that period. So there's that overlap in that sense, that we're taking somebody and elevating them to some stage, not a metaphorical stage, but some incarnation where they're just much more mythical than they are in real life, and much more idealized, but in a much different way, because you made that point earlier of this capturing the grotesque in people like the 30s and the German expressionists that I so loved at the time.
And what challenges have both of you found working in Los Angeles in different aspects of the art world? And feel free to crosstalk across me, it's totally fine. I'm just here I'm in like a love sandwich right now. So. Two of my favorite people.
I'm happy to spend Valentine's
what a
with
great
you, Lisa.
Valentine's Day for me, especially because I killed my cat today. But that's a whole other story.
That we loved Mr. Bruce.
But what are some of the challenges each of you have found? Because it's sort of different, but yet the same.
Yeah, and you're newer to LA, you said, Dylan, so curious about your experience.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
What happened?
Look.
Oh my.
Oh my. Okay, we're gonna just flip that.
That's Lisa.
That's just, we're going back here. There we
Inspired
go.
by three witches. Toil and trouble.
You did a good job on making my thighs look really thin.
You're so funny.
So what, but back to the challenges. What are some of the challenges you found?
Well, for me, coming from a really small town in Illinois, I noticed a huge difference in the presentation you have to have with your art, along with like the way people perceive it. You know, I came from a place where I was a big fish in a small pond, and it didn't take much to impress people. They were always blown away. You know, I'm still always pushing the edge. But now you come here, and it's, especially now when everyone can record an album in their living room, or you know, shooting a video on their iPhone. You know, the avenue used to be so small, and now it's just this, everyone is capable of doing it, and it just comes down to like who has the money or who has the connections. And I feel the art side of things has been taken away by like the opportunists. And you know, say someone stands up, I mean, I won't say names, but like I turned down a deal at one point because they tried to change everything I was doing, and I didn't feel comfortable with it, and they said, okay, well, we'll find someone else who will do it. And then boom, I lost a deal because I stood up for my art, and it was lost because there's always going to be someone hungrier or willing to give it up, you know, just for that moment.
So they wanted you to be a pretty face front man and not necessarily speak from your heart about what your art and your music is.
Exactly. I mean, they took 2 lines of my song and scrapped everything else and rewrote it from like this like alternative punk song to like a Katy Perry pop song. You know, I love Katy Perry. She's on
but it's not
Instagram right now. It's
right.
Woman Crush Wednesday, but that's not my type of music.
And then they said, well, we want you to do it this way, and we'll make you a superstar.
Exactly. No, yeah, they had the whole deal and everything in front of me. We'll make you a bulletproof band and the whole deal, and I couldn't do it.
Wow.
Couldn't do it.
And Stacy, what challenges?
That's a good point, actually, that everybody's a musician, everybody's a writer. People are overly represented. Artists are everybody's an artist now, have you noticed?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
20 years ago, you needed a little bit of skill, I think, or a little something.
Well, you've primarily retired from painting or withdrawn from the art world right now for a while. You did paint me for 2 Johns and a Whore, which let's see if we can find that here. Whoops. Nolan, that shot of me nude? Thank you. In the meantime, we have artists painting the wall at Gregorio Escalante Gallery.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's outside. That's on Chungking Road. But what you retired basically, you withdrew and pursued. There we are. Here, we'll just give somebody. There we go. That was for 2 Johns and a Whore, which featured John. This is like a John Roker day. You were in 2 Johns and a Whore, which was John Roker and John Fleck. You work with John Roker, and we love John Roker. But back to you. And your retirement.
And you're right. I have withdrawn basically, but I still paint. And what most people don't know is that I painted up through 2009, the economic collapse. I was selling tons on eBay, and there's some German guy who's got about 16 of my pieces all through eBay, and a guy in Chicago who's got about 11. I sold tons of stuff on eBay, but that's like a total withdrawal from the actual art world, and so.
You were one of the pioneers of selling on eBay, which has now become a super popular venue for artists to sell their work. So you pioneered that in a way. You really took advantage of it, and you reached a certain pinnacle. And I guess iconic pinups started taking off at that point.
Yeah, and then one of the main reasons for withdrawal is all the work. This is sort of just a depiction of the social world I was a part of, or the performance world, so I'm not really a part of that anymore, so the inspiration for that is no longer there like it had been. So this is really a scrapbook of that particular time.
And tell us a little bit about your performing.
Oh yeah, well, I used to go dance at Cinematic, and I did all sorts of crazy performance pieces with all the co-performance artists I knew back at that time period. So I had no problem just parading around on stage wearing just showgirl and did a little burlesque and all that. And that's so who I'm not anymore. So it's been a confusing bit of a identity crisis.
Right. It's, as we...
I'm much shyer, and I photoshopped myself into a cocktail glass, and I've been too shy to put that up because I just don't feel that reflects, that exhibitionist part isn't really who I am anymore. But if you could see the book, that's all it was at that time. So.
But I mean, as we grow and change, I mean, maybe the 22-year-old version of you would have signed, because I assume that you're 25 now.
24.
24.
Really?
But your 22-year-old side that wasn't quite as developed emotionally and aesthetically may have signed that deal. Whereas now that you're a little older...
Well, no, that happened to me when I was 19.
That happened to you when you were 19?
Yeah.
God
wow,
bless
and you just
principles at that
Yeah.
age.
See, I was
It's
way...
amazing.
Actually, it's funny, like, nowadays, maybe I would take that risk. You know, in the hopes that, like, hey, you know, this will be a platform for something, and then later on, I can rebuild my name or something, you know?
Redeem yourself?
Yeah. But that's because I know my direction. At the time, I didn't know my direction. I just knew what I wanted, and if I didn't have it that way, I didn't want it at all. You know, so I was much more stubborn and...
Wow, so actually you had the wisdom of youth, or the foolishness, depending on...
Yeah, I
But
guess
I mean,
it was...
you're doing...
I mean, I remember being so angry about that. I was just
Like-
livid.
Well, yeah, you felt like they were asking you to prostitute yourself
Yeah.
and to deny who you really were, and that you
You're
were...
like, this is what you want. Like, you don't know what I want. Why are you telling me how I should feel? You know?
And you can't say that to a 19-year-old ever, because, you know, a 19, yeah, fuck you.
Yeah.
And Stacy, have you ever had any offers to do artwork that kind of made you cringe or feel yucky? Feel yucky. You know, that really important phrase, feel yucky, that we...
Always use.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting point because I've prostituted myself for years via, you know, makeup artistry, you know, home interior mural painting, set painting and stuff like that. So in that area, it's totally fine to just sort of be a pawn for whatever they want. But when it comes to my actual artwork, for some reason that hits way too close. I mean, it seems like the only area that's precious where I can do exactly what I want to do. It's the only area, and I had a
We're
client
stuck.
recently.
Oh, there were... No, we're not. Never mind. You had a client recently.
That I did a commission, and the presumption was that the commission is to do a Stacy Lande painting of their, whatever subject it was, I won't know, because they might not, but they wanted me to change certain things, and I was so offended, and I really lost it. I was so upset, because this is the only area where it's the Stacy Lande vision, and I'm not being told what to do. Something's got to be sacred, you know? Something is just mine, all mine.
I didn't know what to expect from I knew your artwork, and I was like, oh my God, my face looks really weird, but you made my thighs and punani look so beautiful and my boobs, I have to admit.
I feel if somebody's kind enough to pose for me, that I'm going to do them a solid and kind of make them as lovely as possible. Not that it was difficult in your case, because it wasn't at all, but certain artists bring out the grotesque, which is wonderful, and I'm a big fan. So, like Louis, for example, but I won't pose for Louis Metz because he's going to zero in on every flaw. I feel like my poor self-esteem will be shattered.
No.
You know, because he just, oh my God. So anyway.
Wow.
So Dylan, now are you making visual art along with your videos and music, or are you primarily concentrating on music?
Yeah, I mean, we've actually shot a lot of music videos for the songs. So originally the idea was to have one music video for every song and kind of sew them together as like one big fabric of a art piece, you know? It was like the song and the video, you could watch them all at once and, you know, like in a row, and it'd be like this art piece as well, like maybe like a movie, but not so much like scene by scene. It's not so much a story, but...
So you're, can we get some of Dylan's stuff up here again, please? I apologize to our audience tuning in live at 5 for Modern Art Blitz, brought to you by domebox.com and Ling's Market. But I'm just learning this pad. Matt's usually in charge, but when the kids are away, when the dad's away, the kids will play. So this is Roker's Melody. That's
These are
you.
Great.
Yeah, I'm
beautiful
super
pieces.
excited.
Wow.
Yeah, this is the back of the album.
And you are, and by taking I should have brought you, I have some old album covers for you. I have a Keely Smith and something else. But you've been rescreening those. And
Yeah.
the effect, and are those a special limited edition?
Yeah, they are. We're gonna slip them in. So we had
gonna
to.
slip
We're
it
hand
in?
screening all of them. So we've done yes. Took me a second there.
You
And
didn't expect that from your professional hostess on the air here.
Professional. Never
it is
mind.
Valentine's Day.
That it is. She sucker punched. She got you with that
I sure am.
one. She got you with that one.
Yeah, but we're gonna put them here and there. Like number 69 or 13,
Number 13.
or
And number FTW?
Oh yeah, of course. But
Obscure X reference that only a few of us will get. 1369 FTW, and there was a big X. That's one of X's logos.
I love X.
Yeah, me too.
You cannot miss, growing up in Los Angeles, or in your case, growing up in Illinois,
Yeah.
didn't X really personify a Los Angeles sound and aesthetics
Oh yeah, definitely.
in a certain way?
And it was also I remember when I first came here, and I saw the big cross, in the mountains,
Yeah.
and I was like, X.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, one of my first shows in 1978 at the Starwood.
Was X?
Yeah.
Wow. Now you grew up in the Valley.
Yes.
And so did John Roker.
Really? Where do you
Granada
grow up in the
Hills.
valley?
He
What part of the
grew, he
valley?
grew up in Granada Hills.
So did I. What?
Yeah, you
Gee, but
did.
how come I've never talked to him about this?
This
I
is-
didn't know he grew
He
up
doesn't
in
like to talk
Granada
about the
Hills.
valley.
And so I was such a dorky bridge and tunnel kid, going to all these shows in the late 70s. Bridge and tunnel kid.
Yeah. Did you take public transportation?
And I drove. I had a 1967 Dodge Dart.
Wow, before it was
What?
trendy.
Yeah, in the late 70s.
Before
that's
it was
awesome.
because it really driving.
What color was it?
Tan, like a beautiful metallic light tan color. It was a great car.
Now, who were both of you have different artistic influences? Could you go into that? And please feel free to crosstalk.
You first.
Oh, I just want to say I love what you're doing with the typography and the lettering. I'm back in school learning graphic design right now, and so my latest passion is typography and lettering and integrating the two. And it's really hard to get the two things to work well together, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, John actually he hand wrote that.
It's beautiful. I'm just really responding now to graphics and type and everything. But for great influences, obviously, it's no secret Gustav Klimt and Egon Schiele. During a time in the early 80s in art school when conceptualism was being taught, and nobody wanted anything to do with figurative painting, and there was punk rock and the German expressionists that really captured my imagination as a student.
Wow.
How about yourself?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I'm influenced by a lot. My dad, honestly, growing up the way I did, I was always surrounded by art. So I kind of just found a lot of inspiration in the imaginations of others, and that side of things. It all kind of came from within, more so than looking outwards. I didn't even know how to use, even if I were to look up now, something, I wouldn't even know how to begin to find it. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but.
Well, there's always Google.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you go Google, but I don't know what to Google, Oh, what are the top 10, things? I looked at a lot of album covers, Actually, that was something that I did. Because my dad, when I was on visitation, he would always get a new record every time I
So
was
you
coming
mean
there.
your parents were divorced?
Yeah, at
Okay.
like 2 years old.
Mine at 3. You can't-
Wow, and
you
mine,
Never.
yeah, my dad died when I was only 21, so.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
and my mom died when I was only 36, so I've been an orphan a long time,
Wow.
so, yeah. A different type of abandoned feeling.
So your dad would show you different...
Oh, no, well, so he would be usually sleeping or something, but I would listen to these records on repeat. I remember getting when he got the Nirvana album, actually when I was young, I thought that Baby was me.
Oh
the
my
cover.
God, what a cute story!
And so it was up until I was like 9 years old that I asked my dad, I was going, you know, why did you guys do that? I think it's very like, you know, weird that like, you know, my penis is exposed
Oh my
and everything,
God.
like it's very embarrassing. And he was like, oh, no, that's not you. I'm like, really? My whole life I thought that was me. And so, I don't know. But I would stare at the album cover and just
That's incredible.
listen to the whole record. Klaatu, I don't know if you know what Klaatu is, but I would stare at that one. Of course, there was some Green Day albums and American Idiot, which we did the
Influenced
film.
you great.
And
Nolan, could we just start putting this on spiral photo, all the artwork on spiral, because my skill set for pads is really low. I can handle the camera, but not the artwork. Okay, and here comes Nolan, our fabulous director-producer, who's going to rescue me from the tyranny of technology. Thank you, Nolan.
yay.
Yay. Whew. Free at last, free at last.
Yeah, you can't be multitasking. I mean, you're good at it, but you can't be doing that. while
Matt
you're
is a
on
genius, and I miss Matt, but he's at the Palm Beach Art Fair.
Oh, cool.
I mean,
Oh my
Palm
God.
Springs Art Fair,
oh.
Palm Springs Art Fair this weekend, celebrating Valentine's Day. And what Valentine's Day plans do you guys have?
Oh, my husband's making dinner at home after the show.
Oh.
You guys,
I don't have plans.
Heartthrob.
This is my plan. This is my Valentine's Day plans. I'm glad I spent it with you.
And so what is next for each of you? Stacy?
Oh, well, I'm only turning because I'm getting a crick in my neck. Well, I just have to clarify that the reason I sort of withdrew from
Right.
making art was not being able to really translate it into making a living. And when I bought my house, I really I got to figure out a way to make a living. So the next phase, I think, is now that I have a little bit of leisure time, I'm painting again. And my long-term plan is to move to a foreign country and sit and paint all day and
Which
sell
foreign
it on
country?
I
the
was just about to say
internet.
that.
Well, I do love Spain. That kind of really captured my imagination. I fantasize about me and Skip leaving the country all the time, like maybe in our 60s we'll be able to, or at least for a little while, and I'll be able to paint. And I'm painting now more too. I'm like, wait a minute, okay, I'm at the last sort of however many years I have left of my life, and I'm returning to painting because I realize, well, kind of that's who I am. You know? So.
And did you catch any flack for withdrawing from the art world?
Well, I did have a couple people mention, like, oh, is it because you didn't become famous? And it was more like, I feel like I did receive good recognition for the work, but it wasn't remuneration. I wasn't getting
Right.
money for it. And that doesn't seem fair to artists, you know, to put the amount of hours. I've painted over 140 of these paintings, you know, and I've sold them, but it translates to like $5 an hour or something. It's like, you know, makeup artistry is a lot easier.
And more lucrative.
A lot more.
And has your background in painting helped with makeup artistry?
Yeah, it has everything to do with that, of course, for camera.
Right,
Yeah.
and you're able to really sculpt a person's face. You helped me with my makeup in the car.
No, I sat back and I supervised. I said, you're doing a great job. Oh, don't forget that spot right there. And that's the way you earn money, folks. No, I'm sorry, it has to boil down to that. I was consultant fee.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think you asked about influences, and I think one of the big ones was Zap Comics, in the late 70s too. And I think, having been force-fed all that conceptualism in art school and the art world, and there's still so much of it around, it's like, wanted something with the impact of comics, And I was like a giant Robert Williams fan. And
Well, Robert Williams wrote the introduction, the
Yeah.
foreword to your book. Here, called The Red Book by Stacy Lande, and it's still available.
yeah, at Amazon you can
Amazon,
get this.
you can
It
get
certainly
copies of
is.
it. And, with Rose Melody?
I'd love to.
With Roker Melody.
Yeah.
There's no apostrophe S, it's not possessive.
It was,
It
but
was.
it changed.
You changed that.
We changed it.
You changed it.
We changed it.
We all changed it. No, the two of you changed, and I think that it's, so you're planning on going on tour? You have
We
a band?
want to, yeah, we want to. Yeah, the band we're playing shows consistently now, and it's just a matter of once we release the record, we'll kind of go from there and see. Things have just been kind of falling into place. We're keeping ourselves so busy that it's just, at this point, everything just is kind of happening. We're trying to get as much done in the studio before that, that happens. I mean, if we were to go on tour, offered to go on tour tomorrow, I wouldn't be ready. Of course I would go all in, but
Well, I love that you have a band that's not like a total sausage fest. You have really talented women in your band.
yeah. I have always wanted an all-girl band, actually. I liked Prince a lot growing up, and he had an all-girl band, and I thought it was just so cool. And just these girls who can just
Yeah.
rock the fuck
Here,
out,
here.
Am I okay to swear?
I'm a
Yeah,
fan.
you can say.
I just
fuck,
realized, like-
fuck. You can say whatever shit you want.
Okay, well, they rock the fuck out. They're amazing. And yeah, Billy, she's the drummer. She just has the look, she has the style, and she plays like guitar and stuff too, so she's not just a drummer. And then our bassist, she's very efficient and like has a great style. And we have Sam too,
Right.
Soto from Original Sinners. And
Oh, I know
he worked
him.
with
He used to run the Lucky Nun Gallery where I showed in the 90s.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Oh, cool.
I remember him.
Small.
Yeah, so he plays guitar for us now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and he's a great addition, We had this girl,
But now you don't.
yeah.
Now you have Sam Soto.
He's so much cooler. Yeah.
And so Record Store Day is April 16th,
Yep.
and your record's coming out on Frontier Records,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
Lisa
Fancher.
Yep,
We're a
Lisa
fan
Fancher.
of that.
Fan of the Fancher.
And Frontier Records has had some amazing artwork over the decades. And I'm hoping that there's going to be an art show soon with Frontier Records covers.
Yours was the Gun Club, right?
hope so.
It was my
Yeah.
other obsession in the
Right,
80s.
and some Christian, she put out some Christian Death, and
Pretty
more
amazing.
than, I wish
Circle Jerks.
Circle Jerks, who else?
Circle Jerks, Christian Adolescence,
Yeah.
a bunch.
She's,
Amazing.
and she is, let's give it up for girl power, one of the few women who runs a record label, and she's been running it consistently for over 25 years. And that is freaking rocking.
Yeah, and looking extremely glamorous the whole time. You gotta
Exactly.
Give her big points. She does it all.
She does it all, and she has a fabulous art collection herself. Really
I didn't
amazing.
know.
Yes, she does. She has some pieces of art from the West Memphis too.
Really?
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, because she worked on their campaign to free the West Memphis 3.
Oh, cool. I have a West Memphis 3T.
Oh, excellent. Well, I don't know who our guests next week are going to be, but it feels like, Nolan, what's our time?
15 minutes.
Few, like 5, 10?
Ooh,
15.
That's a lot of minutes that
No,
are
we
left.
don't. We have 15 is not a lot of minutes. That means we've done 45.
Oh, gosh.
Really?
And we
hasn't been
haven't even
45?
touched
Goodness gracious.
on one of the big art news stories, which I've been holding off on, and that's that the Museum of Modern Art in New York is responsible for $964 million worth of tourist dollars. That's how big art is in New York. I'm curious for Los Angeles with now the opening of the Broad.
Broad, yeah. Have you been there yet?
I know I haven't.
Yes,
It's really,
I really
is
want to
it?
go.
Is it?
Yes.
Do you have to take stairs or do they have an up and down elevator?
It's an escalator, which
Okay.
weaves through this crazy-looking honeycomb architecture, which is one of the coolest parts about it. And I didn't expect a lot of the collections I read. It wasn't that exciting. I was very excited by the collection.
Well, LA is becoming a super art city,
It
so
really is.
it'll be interesting to see how tourists stop. Oh, don't worry about it. I'm sure people would rather see you than me. It's how it translates into Los Angeles, especially because we have in 2017 Los Angeles Latino coming up as part of Pacific Standard Time, which is the big Getty initiative.
Oh,
And
okay.
Pacific Standard Time originally was just Southern California, well, West Coast artists, but primarily Southern California. Now there's a Latino flavor to it. So I'm curious to see how that'll translate.
What's exciting is that throughout most of the 20th century, art was this real elitist thing that the critic had to explain to you, and only real elite people understood it and had access to it and everything. It's come full, and that was the thing I felt we were all railing against in the late 70s, early 80s, is like, you know, to make this more democratic, that it could have the immediacy and the impact that punk rock did, that film did, and that was like the struggle. It's like, let's bring this to like average people that don't have this lingo of what modernism is. Now, you mentioned this, you know, it's here on a grand scale, and especially with the coming of the Broad, it's so exciting to see tons of regular people who are not artists, who are obviously, you know, all the people I saw in line at the Broad were obviously not art scholars, art students. They were just regular people who, on a Saturday, they're going to see art. I mean, that didn't used to happen. This is a big deal. Art has become, it's fabulous. It's a much more mainstream thing that people can access.
And maybe part of that, I mean, and the Broad's collection is not a highly figurative collection, and it's not, and it's not narrative. But I think that the mid '90s emergence of lowbrow and pop surrealism, which were narrative, but with pop culture references and surrealist references, opened people's eyes to conceptualism and abstract art.
And put the West Coast on the map, you know, the West Coast, you know, LA's become all of a sudden this exciting art city that it didn't used to.
And we used to be just an exciting film, and then we were exciting for music.
Yes.
And now we're exciting for art, and that's...
It's wonderful. And I think maybe that's what's igniting this new excitement I'm feeling about wanting to do art again. It's suddenly starting to feel relevant again, you know, that it's for everybody, that it can be for everybody. Yeah, you're right. That's what the whole lowbrow thing was.
Yeah, it really brought that forward. Has there ever been a time where you felt like withdrawing from music and art? And just like, fuck this?
I mean, sure. I think going back to what I was saying before, where I kind of lost inspiration for a little while, knowing that anyone could make their own music. You know, anyone could do this. And I think everyone should do music, or, you know, at least learn how to play piano, or, you know, be able to access that. But I don't think everyone should try to do it professionally. And I think that that's the only thing that has pulled me away inspirationally, because I just feel like, you know, sometimes like, what's the point? And then you just have to remember, you know, it's for the arts. It's not for the hits, you know. And John is always very good at, like, he's like, that kind of stuff will come and it will go. As soon as you get it, you get a taste for it, it's easy to get addicted to that type of like attention or all this stuff. Let it come and let it go, because it's not about that. It's about the arts and keeping that true and keeping yourself immersed in that life, and, you know, not the other side of things, which I think, you know, a lot of people just get so caught up in that, and
Such a good point.
it loses meaning.
It's you being who you're designed to be. You're a musician. It's who you are. I'm an artist, you know. And for a long time, art felt to me frivolous. Like, this is some frivolous pastime, when there's important things that I need to be devoting my attention.
So they say. Yeah.
Right, like not losing my shirt, you know, not losing my house, whatever, you know. The art just seemed like a fun, frivolous thing I don't have time for, and that's really sad.
But you
Yeah.
managed
I'm not
to,
feeling that way now. So
but you
I'm
managed to have that come back and revitalize. Are you still painting in the
Yes.
same style, or have
Yes.
you shifted slightly?
Maybe slightly, but it's still, maybe the technique is morphing and evolving a little bit, but it's still basically portraiture, because that's just these like kind of expressive portraits. That's
Right.
just what I do. That's what's always I've felt passionate about, portraits.
And has your music evolved and changed since you've been in Los Angeles or
Oh,
working
yeah.
with John? And
Definitely.
how so?
I think it's grown a lot. He's pushed me a lot to challenge myself. When I came down here, I could play rhythm guitar decently. And over the time, I was like, I need a drummer for this. He's like, no, we'll get drums, and why don't you do it? I was like, I'll try it, and then I learned drums. And then I was like, if I can play guitar, I can play bass. And then piano. And then now we do everything. I can knock out a song in one day. Guitar, bass, drums, piano, vocals, production, engineering, the whole thing.
And then you can show your band how
Yeah,
to
exactly.
play.
I send them the tracks and I go, here's the thing. If you have any questions, I'll write down the chords for you and I can just get it to them. Bing, bang, boom. And it's so much easier when you have someone in front of you knowing how to do it. Oh, the fill goes like this. Or, the bass line is like this.
So you don't have to say, I
and
want
that's
it a
what
little
Prince did,
more
too.
like jangly dingle here.
Right, yeah. I want some more purple sandy tone.
Right.
Let's have a bit more of this and a bit more of that.
yeah. And, it's so much more, I just feel connected with them and they are able to connect because they're, of course, like I want to be able to develop their own parts and stuff, but, being able to put it onto a recording exactly the way I wanted it to sound was a great way to find the band who is going to keep doing that, keep delivering that, They're going to go, I'm into this music. I want to play this. And so their heart's in it, And so as we continue to make music, they already know this is the right direction I want to go. And, naturally, it's a band that's cool.
You're in an exciting point in your life, just starting.
Yeah.
Exciting.
I'm very excited.
Make the most of it. I feel like I wish I had it to do over again. I were back in your age, I'd take up the drums.
Really?
I'm not going
Still
to
do
do
it.
it now. I love the drums. It's my favorite instrument. But I don't like to go out at night, so I'd be terrible at playing at clubs. Like, we have to go out. Yeah, well, you kind of...
Your husband plays guitar. So why don't you get a drum set? He plays guitar, and you guys can jam
White
at
Stripes.
home. But you guys can just jam at home. You can make beautiful music together in more than one way.
Yeah, you should. You
Love
totally
the
should.
drums. Yeah, it's my favorite.
It's never too late to start learning. I think if you're not learning, you're not living.
Oh, here. And I agree with that one.
So if you guys had to learn one new skill each, what would it be? Aside from drums, you already said that.
Well, I just started back in school and I'm taking graphics because I was an art major, but they didn't have computer graphics back then. So I've been terrified of the computer and those programs all these years.
There's
So
just
these
so many little
huge
things. Yeah.
Yeah, and I got straight A's. I did Photoshop and graphic design and on InDesign. I'm like, oh my God, I can be taught at this age to do this.
No, you
new
can
thing.
learn. You can learn, and it's.
Yeah, it's so empowering
And so
to know
are you-
Photoshop. I'm passionate for Photoshop.
And what are you going to be doing with Photoshop aside from?
Oh, well, actually, I've started some new paintings because in the past I had to have friends Photoshop whatever background into my figure that I'm painting. Now I'm doing it myself. So I'm putting in backgrounds and manipulating color
Cool.
for potential paintings.
So I know from you doing me.
That was a Photoshop that
Right.
Carol's husband had to do for me.
You photograph your subjects, and then you paint off of that.
Yeah, I hold it in my hand.
Oh,
Excellent.
that's awesome.
And so, what new skill would you
You'll
like
have
to
to
learn?
pose for me next.
I will.
Okay.
Oh, awesome! Look at this.
There
I
you
can't
go, a
wait.
prospective new model. Here we
Excellent,
go.
excellent. It's a really fun experience, and I'm sure you can figure out some. Like, I was painted as the three
Yes.
witches from the Scottish play, which you can't, because we're on a stage, say the name of the Scottish play.
Oh, we can't speak.
No, because then we'd have to turn around Wunderschöns and
Oh.
spit three
I'm glad
times
I
and do.
didn't
Yeah,
mention it.
yeah,
Oh,
But
right.
everybody
yeah.
gets their archetype, so you'd be some deity of some sort, some mythological being.
Aries.
Are you an Aries? Well, you don't seem too Aries-ish.
What's your ascendant?
You haven't seen
Somebody
me
fiery.
on that side yet.
What's your ascendant? Do you know? Your rising sign?
Shoot. You know, I used to know. I can't remember right
What time were you born?
now. Really, really early. It was or really late. It was almost April 9th, I think.
But what
So
time?
it was like, oh my gosh, it was like 11:30 at night.
11:30 at night. Matt Gleason can figure that out. I'm not going to sit here and run the camera going 1, 2, 3. But let's see that. Just Aries.
God, I can't believe you can figure that out.
Yeah, I can kind of figure it out. I think you might be a Sagittarius rising,
That sounds right.
which would be like you're kind of a double fire.
That sign.
Double fire sign.
It is very hot in there. So.
Oh, goodness. And
But
I'm double
if there was,
water.
going back to
A skill. Yes,
I
it
would
wouldn't be
want to know
astrology.
how to thread the bobbin on a sewing machine, because this jacket, I wore this today because it's one that I made. See my controversial
Right.
stitching?
Controversial.
Yeah, I mean it's not. I took a
It
pattern.
is controversial.
That is
But,
beautiful.
You
But
made
I-
you made this jacket
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
Wait. So
Even
you
like the lapels and the whole thing?
I got the little fabric, the fabric I wanted, and I took a.
you did. This is
it's,
all.
it's not the best looking thing,
my
but
God.
Amazing job.
Look at this. I mean, because people don't look at the inside. So
I just don't know how to thread the bobbin. I have 2 sewing machines right now at my house, and I
look,
can't.
he made this.
If I
can
could
make
get
an
someone to
entire
sew
garment
to do the
Oh my
thing, I
God.
would be making so many clothes. But I just can't figure out how to get that thing wrapped around. And
That's easy.
Does somebody
That's
come
all
over
I
and
need.
thread the
Someone,
bobbin for you?
please.
Somebody needs
Yeah.
to come over and
Hire
thread
a
Dylan's
bobbin
bobbin.
threader.
yes, I need my bobbin thread immediately.
Lisa, I think you'd be good at that.
No, I'm not coordinated enough to thread Dylan's bobbin, sadly.
My goodness. Hello out there in TV land. I don't know who's
Oh, yeah,
watching.
TV
I don't know
land.
how many viewers. It'll on the screen. Modern Art Blitz is every Sunday at 5 p.m. on dronebox.com, and then we put it up on YouTube a couple days later. So you guys will be getting copies.
That's
You'll have,
wonderful.
and you can share it out to your social media. And
I will.
Good. And both of you have extensive. We get social media. And do you both use Instagram?
I do.
Big
Yes.
time.
I find Instagram hits a different demographic than Facebook.
It is.
Totally.
It's way more expressive, I think.
And much more instant.
Facebook
like
is
it
more
fits
of a-
everyone.
Excellent. So, if you had any words for young artists starting out, what would they be?
There is no plan B. No plan B. You go 100%, you trust your gut, and your gut's always right the first time. You have to just go for it, and you never stop. And as soon as you feel like you're going to give up, you push harder, and you push harder. And I guarantee when you hit that point where you think you're going to fail, that is the best moment to make art and to keep, that's where the emotion is most pure. I've written my best songs or painted the coolest things, or, I drew like comic books and stuff, but just my most expressive times have been when I'm at lowest points. So I think that is the hardest sometimes. People give up too easily.
When yourself
Here,
and rise
here.
above the best. And Stacy?
Pretty much the same thing. Just show up, keep doing it. Just show up, and don't let your parents talk you out of it and say, why don't you take on
Don't let anyone.
a more different type of major in school or whatever. You got to honor that, if you're an artist.
And you went to art school? Did you go to art school?
No, I never went to any school.
You never went to, well,
I went to high school, graduated, and
right, and then became Dylan Mellett, and then became a musician, or continued to become a professional musician.
I didn't really do too much music before.
Really?
Yeah, I wasn't allowed.
Why not?
My mom, she hated it.
Really?
She's still that way. She doesn't acknowledge any of anything I'm doing.
And how does that make you feel?
Broken.
Really?
But
Wow. So your mom doesn't want
mommy issues.
Your mom doesn't want to. Oh.
Because my dad, he was a mission too, so it reminds her. She thinks I'm going to fail and be like him. But I don't see it as a failure.
Right. And the whole purpose of growing up is that we extend past, we exceed our parents' dreams for themselves. And that's why people have children. And that's destiny is to, as children, our destiny is to exceed where our parents were. That's part of the American dream.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I disappointed mine. They didn't live long enough to see me do anything that I'm doing. So that's one thing I feel bad about it. You know.
Do you know in your heart, you know, you're doing that, you know, and you're exceeding, you know, that's the true success there, you know.
And your Aunt Trudy knows?
Well, she's 95. She's still lucid enough to kind of be proud of me, and that makes me feel good.
That's
good. We were never close.
Well, I want to thank you both for spending Valentine's Day with me. I really do.
I'm sorry about Mr. Bruce. Love you.
Well, this has just been so nice. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
And we will see you next week with Matt Gleason back in place for Modern Art Blitz.